Let's get right into it.
Number 6.
The library that vanished twice. Imagine spending your life collecting the world's knowledge, only for history to set it on fire. Twice! That's basically the resume of the Library of Alexandria. You've heard the story. Biggest archive of human thought. Poof, gone. But what makes this one spicy is that nobody can even agree how or when it actually disappeared. Was it Julius Caesar? Was it some later Roman emperor with a grudge against books? Or was it just centuries of neglect where someone said, these scrolls are kind of dusty, let's toss them? The real forbidden discovery here isn't just that we lost millions of manuscripts, it's that we'll never know what was inside them. Ancient science, early maps, who knows what kinds of weird psychological theories that make Freud look like a rookie. Some historians even argued that early steam engines and mechanical devices were already described there. Yes, humanity might have been tinkering with engines while the rest of us were still figuring out how to properly wash our hands. But here's the kicker. The forbidden part is that people kept deliberately covering it up. Leaders wanted to pretend the loss was no big deal. Imagine your friend crashing your car and then insisting it was just a scratch. Humanity had its entire intellectual vehicle totaled, and history tried to shrug it off. So, the next time you forget where you left your keys, at least you didn't misplace centuries of human progress. Congratulations, you're already doing better than ancient civilization.
Number 5. The map that shouldn't exist. In 1513, a Turkish admiral named Piri Reis drew a map. Cool, right? Except his map showed Antarctica, without ice, in 1513. Which is weird, considering Europeans were still tripping over themselves just trying to circle the globe. Supposedly, Reis pieced it together using scraps of even older charts, some allegedly dating back thousands of years. Now, mainstream historians will tell you, relax, it's probably just sloppy coastline drawing. And maybe they're right. Maybe this guy had the cartographic skills of a drunk raccoon. But if you squint, the outlines of South America, Africa, and, Antarctica look suspiciously on point. Even creepier, the map shows mountain ranges under the Antarctic ice sheet, something modern scientists only confirmed with advanced radar in the 20th century. So what does this mean? Either ancient civilizations had boats, compasses, and global cruise packages long before Columbus, or Piri Reis was the Bob Ross of mapmaking, just accidentally painting in accurate hidden topography. The official history books tend to downplay it, but let's be honest, it's hard to believe a guy in the 1500s just free-handed ancient geography. Basically, the Piri Reis map is like finding an iPhone charger in King Tut's tomb. Totally out of place and guaranteed to make archaeologists sweat.
Number 4.
The machine that shouldn't be that smart. Okay, picture this. You're an ancient Greek chilling on a beach tossing olives into your mouth when suddenly some guy wheels out a bronze contraption that looks suspiciously like the inside of a Rolex. That's the Antikythera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old computer pulled from a shipwreck off the coast of Greece. And when I say computer, I don't mean it could run Doom, but it could predict eclipses, track planetary movements, and basically make NASA jealous. We're talking 30 interlocking bronze gears, crafted so precisely that modern clockmakers had to tip their hats. The thing wasn't just advanced for its time, it was advanced for any time up until like the 1700s. So why is it forbidden? Because history books for centuries insisted ancient people were technologically primitive. You know, loincloths, fire pits, chanting to the sun god, that whole vibe. The Antikythera mechanism slaps that narrative in the face. It's as if someone in the Stone Age suddenly whipped out an iPad and said, "Here, let me just check the weather app." But instead of rewriting history, scholars tried to downplay it. Oh, maybe it was just a one-off invention, they said. Translation, we don't want to admit ancient engineers might have been smarter than us. If anything, the real forbidden discovery is realizing our ancestors weren't dumb cavemen. They just had tech we didn't think they should. So next time your phone freezes, just remember, some Greek dude 2,000 years ago had a gadget that worked better than your overpriced laptop. Number 3. The Batteries of Babylon. Imagine you're an archaeologist digging around near Baghdad in the 1930s. You expect pottery, maybe some coins, a few dusty bones. Instead, you find a battery. No, really, clay jars with copper cylinders and iron rods inside. Basically, the world's first Duracell. These so-called Baghdad batteries are thought to be over 2,000 years old. Now, historians scrambled to explain this one away. Some say they were just for storing scrolls or holding sacred scroll juice or whatever. But then somebody filled one with grape juice, stuck a wire in, and boom! Electricity! Not enough to power your Xbox, but definitely enough for electroplating jewelry, shocking unsuspecting priests, or giving someone a really cursed science fair project. Here's where it gets wild. If ancient Mesopotamians really knew about electricity, that means we completely underestimated their level of science. They weren't just sipping wine and writing cuneiform. They might have been running experiments that wouldn't resurface again until Benjamin Franklin decided to play kites in a thunderstorm. The forbidden angle? Academia basically filed it under weird artifact, don't worry about it, because rewriting ancient history is messy. Much easier to say, nah, it's probably just a jar for pickles. Yeah, sure, buddy. Pickles that conduct electricity. Delicious and dangerous. So the next time your phone dies, just remember, 2,000 years ago, someone in Babylon might have been juicing copper rods with vinegar. You and your ancestors have the same problem. Not enough battery life. Number 2. The Map to Nowhere, or Everywhere. If the Piri-Reis map wasn't enough cartographic chaos, let's talk about the Vinland map. This one popped up in the 1950s and allegedly dates back to the 1400s. What makes it juicy? It shows parts of North America labeled Vinland, which matches the sagas of Viking explorers. That means somebody mapped America before Columbus, again, and kept receipts. But instead of celebrating, historians went into meltdown mode. Forgery, they cried. And yeah, the ink analysis has been controversial, with tests swinging back and forth like a drunk pendulum. First it's fake, then maybe not, then definitely fake, then suspiciously real again. It's basically the Maury show of archaeology. The DNA test results are inconclusive. Why the fuss? Because if the map is genuine, Columbus's Golden Boy status takes another beating. It would confirm that Europeans had a working knowledge of the Americas at least 50 years earlier than officially acknowledged, which means school textbooks would need a massive rewrite, and nobody likes reprinting textbooks. The forbidden part isn't just the map, it's how aggressively people tried to bury it. Libraries kept it locked away, scholars dismissed it, and even today it sits in this historical purgatory where nobody wants to touch it. So whether it's the smoking gun of Viking cartography or the medieval version of Photoshop, the Vinland map makes one thing clear. History really hates it when evidence shows up uninvited.
Number 1.
The city that shouldn't exist. Under the waters off India's Gulf of Khambat, sonar scans in the early 2000s revealed something peculiar. Geometric shapes, walls, and structures stretching for miles. Basically, the ruins of a city. No big deal, right? Except carbon dating of artifacts pulled from the site suggested it could be 9,000 years old. That's older than the pyramids, older than Stonehenge, older than the wheel in most history books. If real, this would flip human history upside down because it implies advanced civilizations were building cities long before we thought civilization was even a thing. And what did the archaeological establishment do? They collectively went, no thanks. Many dismissed it as a natural rock formation, even though the layout looks suspiciously like an ancient metropolis. Imagine mistaking Manhattan for a pile of pebbles. That's the level of denial we're talking about. But here's the kicker. If Khambat is legit, it means that the timeline of human civilization is off by thousands of years, like rewrite the entire history books off. Suddenly, the idea that ancient people had lost technologies, navigation skills, or engineering marvels doesn't sound so crazy. It sounds like we've been giving our ancestors way too little credit and giving Columbus, Caesar, and the usual suspects way too much spotlight. So why is it forbidden? Because it challenges the neat little story we've been told. Humans went from caves to farming to pyramids to iPhones in a straight line. But maybe, just maybe, there were older chapters we erased. Chapters sitting underwater, gathering barnacles, waiting for someone brave enough to admit history isn't as tidy as a high school textbook. Basically, the city of Kambat is like history's dirty little secret, submerged, ignored, and way too inconvenient to acknowledge.